Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this great country of ours. North side, south side, east side, west side. Welcome to Bethea's Byte Reloaded, your home for news, opinions, debates, your voice, and justice served. I'm Ernest Bethea, the Last Outlaw. It is so good to have you all here this afternoon, this evening. I want to start things off real quick with a update on an Amber Alert I posted earlier this week out of El Paso, Texas. The update I'm giving you is courtesy of KVIA Channel 7. Thank you so much for this information. This is good news. El Paso police say the family listed in an Amber Alert this weekend have been found out of state and in good health. On May 26, officials sent out an Amber Alert warning 42-year-old Jennifer Lee Hope Carmody took her 4 children, 16-year-old Aiden Bennett Williams, 14-year-old Isabella Valora Williams, 12-year-old Audrey Uriel Williams, and 4-year-old Michael Norbert Carmody. Officials later reported that they believe the children had been taken to Colorado. El Paso police say the children were taken from the 5300 block of Woodrow Bean. As of yesterday, the officials have canceled the Amber Alert. Thank God those children are safe. Also, we are also under a verdict watch in what was being billed as the Family Feud murder trial, the state of Illinois against Timothy Bleefnick, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's been accused of murdering his wife, Rebecca Bleefnick, and now we are 4 hours in, and we are waiting for a verdict in that case, and I will bring it to you as soon as it comes in. Right now, I'm going to bring your attention to a still shot of a previous edition of Bethea's Byte Reloaded that I've done live. This is, there we go. This is Jason and Joy Soltani. These two right now are being charged with the death of a child, along with Sierra Soltani. Now, me personally, I've been questioning whether Sierra or Joy or both of them, whether they are willing participants or whether they are victims. Well, today in today's edition of the Byte, I'm gonna have an exclusive chat with the aunt of Sierra Soltani, as well as, hopefully, the ex-wife of Jason Soltani. And I have them both here, thank heavens. All right. Terri, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Sorry, I'm caught in traffic, so.
No problem. Tammy, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Both of you. Welcome
Perfect.
to Bethea's Byte Reloaded. Now, as I stated in a post on my YouTube community page, I want to apologize and get this corrected. I introduced you originally as the aunt, Terri. I introduced you as the aunt of Jason Soltani. I corrected that on that community post. You are the aunt of Sierra Soltani. Am I correct?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Now that I got that straight. I am sitting here with both of your emails. I copied and put them both on notepads, and I want you both, Terri first. I want you to take me through this case from your perspective.
Our encounter with Jason started when we were actually children. We were friends with his siblings, so we were around him quite often. My sister, who's Tammy, got married to him fairly young, and they had Sierra. During the course of their relationship, he was pretty abusive with my sister, and she ended up leaving him. Over years of custody battles and multiple reports to CPS, they ended up removing Sierra out of my sister's custody into Jason's custody. Anytime that we did hear anything suspicious, we would report it, but would get brushed off by CPS and the sheriff's office down in Crowley County. And over the years, he's been able to kind of isolate her to the point where none of us have had contact with her since she was 17. She's now 20. When he did get arrested, I tried driving from Denver down to Ordway to speak with her, try to get some kind of common sense into her. But I was one step behind her. Every step that I took, she was 2 steps ahead. And by time I felt like I was even close, her dad was already bonded out of jail. So it's been a struggle. I've been trying to do everything I can to contact her, and to no avail, because she has no cell phone, she has no social media. And as soon as he got Joy out, they pretty much disappeared. So they're out on bond, and we have no clue where they're at.
Tammy, from your perspective, please.
Well, mine's a really long story, as you could see in the email that I wrote you. But, basically, as far as this case is concerned, it's just aggravating because I knew the signs really early on. I left him when I was pregnant with Sierra. I left the marriage. I physically left him without anything but what I was wearing, and never went back into that relationship because I knew how dangerous he was. And, I had, I don't know. Over the course of the years and having Sierra with him, I felt like maybe I might have been wrong about him. I don't know, but he was granted supervised visits with her to start when she was an infant. Obviously, they weren't going to make me take her to go see him out of state because I moved out of state while I was pregnant with her, just to keep myself away from the abuse and to keep her away from it. And so, the first few years of her life was just supervised visits. And then over time, he started to show, that he was safe enough for her to be around. She was enjoying having time with him, that kind of thing. And so, she was granted, or they were allowed to see each other unsupervised. Him and I were splitting costs as far as her traveling goes, for her to go back and forth so that way she could visit with him there. And then she was really struggling in school in Oregon, which is where I live, and was having issues with bullying problems. She was being transferred from one school to another. She, in a matter of 3 or 4 years, she had attended 4 different schools. So she expressed to me that she wanted to try to go to school where he lived, which is where I went to school. And I was really hesitant about that. And I had talked to him about that. And we decided to go ahead and try it to see if that would help her as far as improving her emotionally, because she was just highly emotional about it. And so she went there, was going to school there, but she was still coming back to Oregon during all of her breaks. Anytime she had extended breaks out of school, summertime, though, that was time with me. So it was working out. It seemed like everything was okay. And then it became alarming to me when he met Joy. And it wasn't necessarily when he met Joy, because Sierra was telling me that she had told me about Joy, and Sierra was very young, and she said Joy and her sister were who Jason had hired to babysit Sierra while he was at work. And so they were just like hired babysitters. And that's what I assumed was going on, was just these hired babysitters. I never really thought that it was an issue until a few years later. Sierra, during a visit with me, told me that her behavior just,
I think I get it. I think I got it. The first question that was asked by somebody in the live chat, and I'm asking either one of you to answer this. Do you think Sierra stayed because of Joy?
From my perspective, I don't think it's actually because of Joy. I think it's because of the children that are still in the house. But, she may have formed some kind of relationship with Joy that we don't know of now. What my sister was explaining was at one point it did get kind of alarming because Sierra's behavior had changed. She had expressed that Dad was sleeping in the same bed with her and Joy. And Joy was underage at the time. So we went ahead and reported that. So it's something that they were definitely aware of for a very long time and kind of just let it happen. But I'm just not sure if that's fully the case. I think it's more because of the kids.
Now I'm looking back over the way the story was first brought out. And this is from this is coming courtesy of KKTV in Crawley County, Colorado, and even when I first heard about it originally, this was very difficult to hear, let alone read. It said the article says that KKTV News first learned about the case involving Jason and Joy when the Crawley County Sheriff's Office announced they were wanted for criminally negligent homicide, child abuse causing death, and manslaughter on April 24. They were eventually taken into custody. The arrest papers detail why investigators believe they were responsible for the death of the baby. According to those documents, first responders received a report on August 9th of 2021 that a baby wasn't breathing, tied to an attendant death. They were called to a property in Crawley County. The sheriff reportedly contacted Jason and Joy, and they weren't able to provide a birth certificate. Joy also shared 2 different birthdays to the doctor and wouldn't speak with the sheriff. CPR was administered on the baby before they were transported to the hospital via ambulance in La Junta. A search warrant was executed at the home. 18-year-old female and 6 kids, all under the age of 8. And all 10 people lived inside a 1,465 square foot home. That part was just difficult to read. And Julianne just added something else to this, saying he made comments 3 years ago in November that Joy had not been pregnant in 5 years, and that Joy was doing foster care to earn herself some money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What can you say to that?
As far as the foster care situation, nobody really knows. We've heard a couple of things about it, but nobody's ever actually confirmed that portion. But I can tell you that the house that they were staying in is very small. That's Jason's childhood home. It's kind of always been a hoarder house. If you go through that house, it is nothing but pathways. There is no extra space. That was always one of the concerns that we brought up with CPS, even with Sierra just being there before Joy and him started having kids, because it's never really been a very kept home. And that's kind of where our concern is now as far as Sierra is, because those kids are undocumented. Joy doesn't really have the particulars, and so it's concerning that, Sierra may have possibly mothered one or several of those children.
Right now, as we're going along, I have a poll up in our live chat, And I asked if they thought Sierra's role. What they think was Sierra's role in the child's death? Was she a willing participant or victim? Right now, 9 votes in, and they're all unanimous that Sierra was a victim. And I got a
I would
comment.
absolutely agree. Sadly, she's been brainwashed by her dad because her dad's had her over time, and he's cut off, like I said, any communication that he's had with any of her family since she was right before she turned 18.
Hannah Fisher chimes in saying that she says she doesn't understand why the state won't do DNA testing on the children. I hate thinking it, her exact words, but what if those children aren't Joy's?
Yeah, and we did bring that up with the sheriff's office. Both me and my sister have had several conversations with them. And as far as they're concerned, they feel like they don't have any probable cause to get a warrant to do DNA testing, according to the sheriff's office.
My goodness. Again, I go back to the article. It's saying that the arrest papers show that the house was filthy with trails to the rooms, sticky floors, children sleeping in piles of dirty clothes and dirty car seats. It was what law enforcement considers or calls a hoarder house. CBI was called in to photograph the scene. Agent Dennis Honeycutt took the pictures. No one could identify where everyone lived, and no one was able to identify where everyone lived, and no one was able to identify where the dead baby was found or slept, or who had last seen the baby alive, or who had put the baby to sleep last. The parents would not speak to law enforcement and were not present at the time of the search warrant. Now, this is the one that was hard for me to read. The arrest papers add that the children were filthy, unkempt, and smelled of human feces. The children were taken to a church where they were allowed to play and fed pizza. I mean, even that was hard to read, and I took that kind of personally because I survived through that. I survived through that. I was bounced from one foster home from another one to eventually I was able to go to a home where the parents loved me and I loved them, and that and they made me the man I am today. I am very thankful for that.
Well, and I feel like Jason preys on people like that because me and my sister and my brother, we were dropped off at our grandparents and they raised us down there. So he has a penchant for seeking out those that are probably not in the best situations and using that to his advantage.
Preying on the weak.
Yes. Absolutely. The whole reason why he met Joy, from what I understand, was he was originally dating her mom. Uh-huh. And those girls were babysitting Sierra. He paid those girls to babysit them.
I had to cut in, but I'm getting word now that in the Family Feud murder trial there is a verdict. I'll let everybody know what that verdict is the moment I can catch it on my TV screen. But right now I want to keep this thing going with Terri Anderson, Tammy Byers, on Jason Soltani. Again, the article enough just from KKTV, no matter where I'm getting it, it's still difficult to read. It's difficult. It's difficult enough for me to read because, in a way, I suffered, yet I survived through it. It appeared the children had not eaten lately. The arrest papers said the younger children were turned over to the Department of Human Services. The baby pronounced dead and the Crowley County coroner was called to the scene. The coroner reported that he found the baby filthy, with dirt on feet, fingernails and scalp with a lot of wax buildup in the ears. Parents would not accept the child's death and claimed they were going to pray and have the name of the baby's name, which was redacted, resurrected, and initially refused to give custody of the child to the coroner for an autopsy. Cause of death was not determined. Autopsy noted that there was no food content in the baby's stomach and no urine in the baby's bladder.
Which is so disheartening for me because my niece was coming up to us and telling us a long time ago that she would only get a can of food that she would have to share with her siblings. We reported all this 10 years ago. This could have absolutely been prevented.
Tammy, apparently I have you on my stream twice over.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Anyway, we were talking. I'm reading parts of the article. Like I said, it's difficult for me to read, but yet it's difficult for me to read. But I want to hear your takes on as I'm going through each part of that article.
Well, basically, this stuff could have been prevented. I mean, they were reported to agencies there, and nobody did anything until the death of the baby. Even now, they're being reported for certain things, and the authorities aren't doing anything.
13 votes in, and all of a sudden now the it's kind of shifted a little. 92% of my viewers are saying that Sierra is a victim, whereas only 8% is just trying to get attention, saying that Sierra was a willing participant.
He's a heavily religious man too, and would use a lot of manipulative tactics with religion in order to get my sister. He was doing it with joy. I had her for years and has pounded that into her head for years.
Yes.
Yeah. And, I believe Julianne just summed it up in 2 words what Terri was just saying. He groomed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
My goodness. I mean,
And
him trying to do that to other people's children. Last year at a swimming pool, he regularly goes to the water parks, the swimming pools, anywhere just to watch girls.
oh wait a minute. It seems like Julianne knows a little something about this too. So what I'm gonna do, if I can, I'm gonna send her the link if she can come on. I want to hear her perspective because of a quote she just mentioned, because of something she just mentioned. 19 years I've known this family. He has a master's degree and he worked with youth. So Julianne,
yes.
I'm gonna give you the link and ask you to come on as well. If you have anything to add to this, please. I would love to hear from you.
Well, and the thing that's concerning is that I feel like he's ready to groom another one. It's just so frustrating because him and Joy's oldest daughter is getting ready to turn 10, and she's right at that age that he likes, and she, I think, is the most concerned about going home because she knows that she's extremely bright, from what I understand.
Julianne also adds that he took her kids swimming and they always ran into him at the pool.
That was his favorite hunting grounds for sure. I knew that from when I was married to him.
Tammy, this question's for you from Hannah Fisher. Didn't Jason have access to records he shouldn't have? Could he have destroyed the reports that were made against him?
I'm not sure how long he worked for Department of Human Services, but he did work within that department for the state. And he did have access to DHS records all the way up until he was fired. And he wasn't fired until the day after they were arrested. So he had access to all this investigation that they've been doing over the last 2 years for sure. But as far as any records between him and I don't know if he was working in that department yet or not.
Okay. I have Julianne on. Julianne.
Hi.
How you doing?
Sorry, I have an upset baby in the background.
It's okay. It's all right. All right, let me get everybody else back on the screen if I can. And this is unbelievable here. Oh boy. Ay ay ay. Okay. All right, here we go. Now that we got everybody. Julie, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sorry about that motorcycle outside. You had a hot take on this whole thing. Please share.
Oh gosh, this whole thing it makes me sick. I met Jason when I was like 18. And I was just out at the park because my boyfriend was sleeping up in the hotel room. We were homeless at the time. And he invited us over. He was like, "Can I take you out to eat?" And I was like, "Well, you're going to have to ask my boyfriend, because..." And so he's like, "Yeah, no problem." And he went up there and he asked, and my boyfriend was like, "Sure, yeah, bring me back some food because I want to eat too, So we went out and we ate, and there was no signs of him being any kind of weirdo. We didn't hang out often over the years, but when he'd come to the town that I lived in to go to the pool, he'd text and ask if we were going to go to the pool. I've got 4 kids now, but I had 3 at the time. My 2 oldest girls. So Jason, he works at the mental health place in Pueblo with the youth, and he's always, this Christian man. And so we always felt safe. Well, I felt safe until my kids became teenagers, and then I started getting weird vibes from him. But we never suspected anything of the sort. We'd always ask how Joy was, and he'd always have some excuse when we'd see him out. Like, "Oh, Joy doesn't like to get her hair wet, so she's at home," or
right.
"Oh, she didn't want to come out for the trip to the store, so she's with the kids." And he always expressed foster care. Like, he even asked my daughter to babysit the foster kids so that him and Joy could go out of town. And my daughter was like 12 at the time, so I wasn't comfortable with her babysitting over a day. And so I was, and I told her, I said, what would happen if you went and something happened to one of those kids? I said, I don't feel comfortable with it. I don't think that a foster mother and father should leave foster cares with a babysitter for more than a day. And I had reported them to Otero County DHS, and they had no report of them being foster care. And the lady thought maybe they were doing foster care out of Pueblo County because that's where Jason worked, but couldn't find any information. So, I mean, I didn't think much of it. Why would I? He's works for the state of Colorado. he's never had any. It's never been weird.
So in a way, it's like saying you can trust him, at least at that time.
Right. I mean, he came and had dinner with my mom and my dad and all of us, you know, and always just a friend. He asked me one time if I would, you know, play with him, and I was like, no, dude, that's like super weird. I can't do that. You're my friend. And he's like, oh, come on, you know, just once. And I was like, nah, I was like super uncomfortable with it, and he left it at that, and it was never like that again. So I never had any reason to think that he would go after my kids or anything, you know.
Hope LaMonica chimes in saying that the state failed those children, which I tend to agree with.
They still are, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm looking at looking at the look at the articles. Like, yeah. What in the world were they doing?
Well, yeah, especially if they're going to let them out on a cheap bond like that. They're out the next day, and now hearing that they're going to resume visits with the children.
Yeah. August 29th of 2022, the sheriff's office was called because of a civil disturbance between Jason and his mother, Linda Soltani. That's a person I would have loved to have talked to. During that incident, Linda made statements that she would testify against Jason and Joy for the death of the baby, claiming they didn't feed the baby and killed him. Linda reported that they had charged and abused their children, according to the arrest papers. Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that I would love to have chatted with.
I have reached out. I have been trying to contact her because I want to talk to her. She does not want to talk to anybody. She is just really closed up. She doesn't want to talk about it with anybody. And I even expressed to her, like, I'm not going to share information. I just want to know what happened, because she failed them too, in my opinion. She was their grandmother, and she knew what was going on. She knew those kids were starving. She knew certain things. She knows, and it was reported just recently that she told somebody that Jason has had intercourse and inappropriate relationship with Sierra, my daughter. And I called the sheriff's office and I asked them, like, you know, why can't you get her away from him? Like, what are you not? They said because she's over the age of 18, they can't do anything. But they are having, you know, an incestual relationship because she doesn't know any different. She thinks that it's normal, you know, and nobody will pull her out of it. It's crazy to me. They need total separation for her to come back to reality, because she is totally brainwashed.
It's a cult.
That's the word I would have used.
Yeah.
That's the word I would have used.
Yeah.
Let me quickly break in here. Let all my viewers know that I'll be doing a different post on this, but we have breaking news. There is a verdict in the case of Illinois versus Timothy Bleefnick. Bleefnick has been found guilty on all counts, including the murder of his wife Rebecca. Again, I will post the full details in my next post. Right now, we're still talking about this whole case, and I'm focusing mostly on Jason Soltani, because using my mother's terminology, Jason is the ringleader out of this whole mess. And Hannah, she says, that's so sad to hear. Oh my gosh. She said, I adored Jason when I was young. Now I'm embarrassed to say that he and I are in the same family. This whole thing has been disgusting. Hannah?
Hannah, don't feel bad. I used to adore him too since I was 5 years old. I've known this man, and I felt betrayed when I found out he was beating my sister, and I felt betrayed when he got my niece, and this is just another continued betrayal. So don't feel bad, honey. He's doing it to plenty of people.
Hannah, if you would like to add your perspective into this, I'm sending you the link right now. Be more than happy to have you on, because this is. I'm kind of glad I'm doing this, because this gives so much more perspective as to who the real Jason Soltani is.
Yeah, he's definitely a pedophile. I mean, there's so many things that he is. And I just keep getting told, because I keep calling the sheriff's office. I've had so many people reach out to me because they're worried for Sierra and they're worried for her safety and they want to help and they want to do all these things. And people are reporting things to the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office is, I can't believe that they're still walking around like they're out on bond. It's just insane to me, and the district attorney just keeps saying, well, there's lots of charges, there's all these charges supposedly coming. I don't know, if they're being investigated for other things or if he's being investigated for other things specifically, and that they're just trying to get their stuff together to get more charges brought on him. I don't know, but
That's what I'm hoping, is that the reason that they're out and they're kind of not making it look like they're doing anything is because they're watching them and they're gathering information and they're gathering a case so that they can nail them for good and not have them get away, because he is so smooth. He is such a smooth talker.
Yeah.
His background from the state of Colorado.
Even smooth talkers can get caught.
yeah.
Yeah, but he's had a lot of practice, because he did it with my sister. I mean, he's got DV cases out there that he wormed his way out of, and he still managed to get on with the state after he had those charges.
Yeah. He has a lot of those characteristics of a serial killer. I mean, he really does. And he is a different person out in the outside world than he is behind closed doors. And once he gets you behind that closed door, it is really hard to get out. It is. And that's why I don't know Joy. I don't want to say that she is a monster. I have talked to some of her family recently and reached out to them, and actually they reached out to me once this case broke open, because they're concerned for her and her safety and her mental well-being, because they've been completely isolated away from her. She has isolated herself away from her family, and they love her still, but they are just mind blown at the charges that she's facing and the things that are being said about her. And I get it, because I was there. Like, that very well could have been me. But I just knew that I had a fork in the road when I got pregnant with Sierra, and it was either I was staying and facing it that way, or I was getting out, and I got out, and I feel lucky for that. Like, God blessed me with that for sure. But unfortunately, Sierra got stuck in the scenario, and it sucks.
Well, and they really didn't have very much options. Last June, me and my sister were down there, and we went to go try to knock on the door to see Sierra, and there was a padlock on the fence on the outside. There was a padlock on the outside of the front door. Even if they wanted to get out, they weren't able to.
Yeah. Yep.
Joining in right now is Hannah Fisher. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. So I'm not really sure what I have to add. Jason is my mom's first cousin. He re-entered my life maybe about a year and a half ago. He found me through Ancestry, and we had just been talking ever since. I hadn't seen him since I was probably around 4 or 5 years old, but he would come over to my mom. My mom's name is Chris Fisher. He would come over to our house all the time and have tea. He was very, very close to my great grandma Sword. And there was a lot of like family discrepancies over whether or not he was using her, but my mom always stuck up for him, and a lot of people kind of saw him for what he was, but my mom sees the good in people and stuck up for him. But we just reconnected about, like I said, 1.5 years ago, and we talked a lot about family stuff, and he was very charming. You know, he had a lot of questions for me. He told me how pretty I turned out. He invited me to go to the water park, of course, with him and his oldest daughter, Sierra. He invited me to her birthday party. He definitely was actively trying to see me. And I don't know if that was just because of like our familial relations or if he was trying to do more. I don't know.
Man.
Did you know that he had that many kids, Hannah? Did he ever tell you any different?
He sent me a picture of all the kids, but he never told me anything about the baby passing away. Even though he had invited me after the fact to Sierra's birthday party. But if I had done the mental math, I would have realized that a baby was missing, and I wonder what he would have said when I asked, well, where's the baby?
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, he told his sister, because his sister isn't highly involved in his life, but he told his sister that the baby died from SIDS. And so the sister actually believed that the baby died from SIDS. And she had been proclaiming that for, even after they got arrested, she was proclaiming that. And then once the affidavit came out, I think she was a little shocked because she didn't realize, that the autopsy findings were what they are, and the way the house was, and the kids were underweight, and all those things. She didn't realize all that stuff was happening. That's according to her,
Was she just not very close with Jason anymore? Because, I mean, how can you not know?
She hasn't been, and Brady, who is his brother, has totally withdrawn from that family for many, many years. And from what I understand, investigators tried to contact him, and he basically told them, I don't have anything to do with them. I don't want anything to do with them. And his exact words, from what I understand, was, Jason is a serial killer that hasn't gotten caught. And that's from his own brother's mouth.
Oh my God.
So, but he wouldn't say very much more than there's not really anything he could say, because he moved away. I mean, he was not even, I think he was maybe 15 or so when he moved out. Like, he just did not want to have anything to do with anybody in the family, because it was so, just such a mess, which every family is, but he just had a feeling that, something wasn't right.
Wow.
And that's why Linda is scared. She's just as scared. That's why she moved out of state.
Yeah.
Back to the article real quick, if I can get to a point, that the arrest papers add the Sultanis of flight risks after they went to New Mexico in August of 2022 to allegedly avoid the Department of Human Services from taking custody of their newborn, their 8th child. At the time the arrest papers were filed, Joy was allegedly pregnant with her 9th child on April 20th of 2023.
Yeah. So she's definitely pregnant right now.
That's just horrifying.
Yeah, I can't even believe that they're out on bond, especially after running from the having the last baby. They left the state and they weren't supposed to. And yeah.
Now I know I touched on Sierra briefly, and I just got finished ending the poll, the opinion poll that viewers believe that Sierra's more of a victim than anything else. 93% said victim, willing participant. I'm gonna say right around 6-7%.
I think that when you're a victim for so long, you have to learn to adapt, and
Yes.
you have to maybe do things that you don't want to do so that you can eat or so that you can have a little bit of freedom.
Yeah.
So I don't think that she necessarily started out as the bad guy.
Well, and she hasn't been technically charged either. Investigators have been trying to reach out to her to talk to her, and she just hasn't. They're trying to talk to her as a witness. But
Right.
her dad's made it look like, oh no, you're going to be in trouble. You can't talk to him. So she has actively made sure not to talk to them.
Well, and she's trying to protect him because that's what she was learned. That's what she was taught to do, is protect him. I mean, she protected him even when her and I still had a relationship. She straight up told me, like, I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt my dad. She told me that so many times. And I always just responded to her and told her that's not your responsibility. But she never, it was always drilled into her head that it was her job to protect him because that's what he told her,
He sounds like just like a classic narcissist, and he has her in such a chokehold that she'll probably do and say whatever to protect all of them.
Yep.
Hope Monica says that we need laws to protect these children. God knows we do. If you're
Absolutely
going to your children, the state needs to lay eyes on them. It seems no one even knew about these poor children.
Yep.
Right.
They were undocumented. And I talked to the sheriff's office just last week about that because I had heard that Sierra might have mothered one or more of those kids.
Oh my
And
God.
so, yeah. So I asked the sheriff's office if they had done any DNA testing to prove that Jason and Joy were in fact the parents of those kids. And they told me that they didn't have enough probable cause to have a DNA warrant on the kids. So they have not done any DNA testing on any of the undocumented children.
The fact that they're undocumented is enough.
That's what I said, and they told me no.
Oh, Colorado is a joke sometimes.
And they told me that if I knew of anybody that seen Sierra actively pregnant at any time, that particular person would have to go report it to the sheriff's office for them to have a reason to do DNA tests. But 3 years ago, we were in the midst of COVID. It would be really easy for her to hide a pregnancy.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So it is just mind-blowing. And, as far as the laws of protecting these children, I do want to say that the sheriff's office, they want to do more. They have certain protocols that they have to follow. And the thing that sucks about it is that they have to coordinate with Child Protective Services. And I feel like Child Protective Services is not doing enough. And that seems to be the going trend for any of these kinds of cases, is that Child Protective Services, they are overworked and they are overwhelmed, but they are given way too much authority over what happens to these kids. They're not enforcing the laws. The sheriff's office has to enforce the laws, but they have to get reports from Child Protective Services for that to happen. And that's not happening.
My wife, who I call Lady Outlaw, she's trying to weigh in from behind the scenes. What do you say, sweetheart?
Kind of like the same thing happened in California, and they do shit for us.
Oh, brother.
I was part of that one, so I know they do shit for me.
Yep.
Stay with it. They gotta be scot and free.
Well, this is a little bit more of an extreme case. A baby actually died with no food content in its system, no urine in its bladder.
Fuck that.
Ay.
Yeah.
It gets worse. It almost makes you wonder if social services had something to do with it. Like, did they put these kids in their care? Like, and and did this happen? And now they're covering it up, like, because of the way that they're handling it. It's so abnormal. It's just not usual for this to be taken so lightly.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy to me that the arrest didn't happen for 2 years until 2 years after the death of the baby. It has taken them 2 years to even arrest these guys. Like, that's insane.
I don't understand that either.
Hugh Johnson chimes in. He says El Paso County. Well, that's out in Texas. I'm assuming, as the detriment of the kids, it's push visits for the sole reason of saying they are attempting reunification. It's a rule to cover the state and say they tried.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yep.
And that's what I'm finding, that is like it's a growing trend. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, I stand corrected. I need a pair of orthopedic shoes.
El Paso County is in Colorado. That's where some of the kids are in foster care at.
Monica has agreed that Hugh hit the nail right on the head. He did that.
Yeah.
Which they're still doing after they are out on bond. They're pushing for them to have visits now with the children that are in remaining foster care.
And as far as I understand, they're attempting reunification still with these kids.
In my opinion, it shouldn't happen. It
should absolutely not.
At all.
Right.
Keep those kids as far away from Jason, at the very least, as far away from Jason as possible.
Exactly.
But then again, from me, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a third party. I'm just reporting the news, getting information out, and at the same time seeking justice for these kids. Which is why I have all of you on to tell this story from your respective perspectives, and I appreciate all four of you being on.
I appreciate you covering the story. I want to get it out there. I want the nation to know that this is happening. I want to push to change laws, because Child Protective Services, they have too much to do with it. Like, they're not protecting the children. They're not. They're, pencil whipping reports and things, but they're not reporting anything that is detrimental to these kids. It is just mind-blowing to me. I can't understand why a person that is in that kind of job wouldn't put all these things together and say, wow, we really have a problem. We need to get this guy away from kids, period. I just can't.
Comes in saying that the system is more broken than people know. So I totally agree.
Yeah.
More broken than people know.
Especially in Ordway, apparently.
Oh my God.
We've reached out to the local news, and they said that they don't want to interview the family. They don't want to have anything to do with it. I've emailed Crowley County Sheriff with my side, and they have yet to reach back. They won't answer their phones.
Same. I got online. I was emailing and sending letters to the general attorney, the governor, just about anybody you can think of, and still no response.
All right. Hugh Johnson adds in saying that the more you read into it and the deeper you dig, it just looks like DHS is trying to prevent anything from moving forward. There's too much evidence to not be in jail. And how does a judge even allow visits, let alone force them?
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with that anymore. I mean, just reading from the article of the way they were founded, the way they were found. But interviews were set up with other children on November 3rd of 2022. It was reported by two children that the baby died with a plastic bag over it.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
And then on
Yeah.
top of it, you're leaving your child in a bad way when the children were always starving and ate non-food products to include. Wait, let me issue this as a trigger warning. If you have a weak stomach, turn away, mute this, turn away, whatever you have to do, because what I'm about to read now is difficult for even me to read. The children were always starving and ate non-food products to include human waste, paint, paper, and cardboard.
Yeah. And their grandma was even trying to sneak food. Jason's mother was trying to sneak the kids like food when she was there, I guess. And I, from what I was told, is that Jason told her if she ever did that again behind his back, he was going to kill her. How is this guy not in jail?
Agreed.
And this is why she's not talking to anybody, because she's scared. She's had restraining orders on him, his own mother.
You're right. I want to thank Hannah. She must have dropped down, but I want to thank her so much for her input. And like I said, this case is disturbing on so many levels. This had to come out somewhere or another. And I am so glad that I have Tammy, Terri, and Julianne on. Ladies, it's been an honor to hear from you. And we're gonna get justice for all those kids. We're gonna keep seeking justice for Sierra and Joy just as much.
Yeah, because he started grooming Joy way early. I mean, she was very young. And he isolated her and started grooming her right away. She's not the same person that she used to be. And I don't even know her.
Tammy? Tammy, do you have anything else to add? Julie? Julie, you have anything else to add?
Not that I can think of. Just I was just thinking, I wonder if that's why he kept wanting. She's my middle child is now 14, but I wonder if that's why he was always asking if she could babysit or if he could take her. Like, he's seen them at the pool and he wanted to take them from one pool to a whole nother pool in another town. But I mean, and I never saw the signs then, but I mean, I'm looking at it now and I'm wondering if he was trying to groom my kid. My oldest, she's going to be 18 and she's more on the boy side, but my 14-year-old is a girly girl. She wears the in style cute girl clothes and stuff like that. So it just makes you wonder if how many kids has he groomed?
Yeah. And I seen your question, Hugh. The baby was 8 or 9 months old. So the baby wasn't quite old enough to even walk, but its feet were so dirty that the nurse thought the baby had some kind of disease, and then she washed the baby's feet and realized that the baby was actually white, and she couldn't believe it. So it's sad. It's a whole sad situation. And when investigators called me to ask me questions, I yelled at every single one of them, I think, so far, and just told them, I told you guys 10 years ago that this guy was bad news. You should have listened. And they didn't. It's just crazy.
Okay, guys, I'm back. What I had was a little bit of a network connection issue. Sorry about that. But yeah, let's see. Hugh said, "What I saw on Facebook, a baby that couldn't even move around somehow got a hold of a plastic bag and wrapped himself in the bag. There's just too much not to lock them up." I totally agree. I totally agree. Um, First off, I want to thank Amy. Excuse me, Amy. What am I thinking? I want to thank Hannah. I want to thank Terri, Tammy, and Julianne for coming on to this edition of Bethea's Byte. I am so sorry for that little network lapse at the very end. And I promise we're going to continue to seek justice for those kids, for Sierra, for Joy. We're going to make sure all this happens. Like I said, this is too disturbing not to happen. So before the network lapsed on me, I was gonna say that I was gonna have a chat with those who follow cases with CPS or DHS or however that goes. We're gonna talk about what they're doing and what they're not doing and what needs to change. Tammy says she's going to Colorado in September to see them at the preliminary hearing. I'll be looking forward to that. I'll be looking forward to checking that out too. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for this edition of Bethea's Byte Reloaded. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for catching the replay. I will have a recorded version posted. Tammy's hoping to rally people together and have some supporters for these kids. They need it. They absolutely need it. Again, we're gonna keep tabs on this case. We're gonna keep you updated, and we're gonna make sure that those kids get justice. So until next time, please be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, love others, and that way I can see you back here next time for another edition of Bethea's Byte Reloaded. Your home for news, opinions, debates, your voice, and justice served. I'm Ernest Bethea, the Last Outlaw. Thank you all again so much. And yes, hashtag justice for Sultani children. Until next time, you all know what to do. Bite this. Hey guys, the Last Outlaw here. Thank you all so much for watching this video and subscribing to Bethea's Byte Reloaded. I appreciate the support of this little engine powered by you. Did you enjoy this video? Do you want to give your feedback on it? Here's what you do. Like this video to get more eyes on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be sure to click the notification bell and set it to all to be notified of future videos. Share this video to your social media. I respond to your comments, good or bad, so drop your thoughts here. Be sure to follow Bethea's Byte Reloaded all over social media. At Bethea's Byte True Crime on Facebook. At EKB316 on Twitter. At Bethea's Byte Reloaded on YouTube. That's with and without the punctuation marks. At EB The Last Outlaw on Instagram. At King of Hearts 316 2021 on TikTok. You can email me at kingofhearts316_09@outlook.com. This is your home for news, opinions, debates, your voice, and justice served. This is Bethea's Byte, and it's reloaded.